Okay, I just took the circuit panel here off the mount. This is the front side, of course. This is where your power supply goes into. Okay, let me flip this thing over. This is the back side. Here's the front side of the motherboard and all the circuitry stuff. Here again is where you put the power supply into. So what I'm going to do is this. I flip this back here. Okay, make sure it's in the camera so you can see what we're doing here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to solder some speaker wire here. Right here, this is the negative side, and this connection point is the positive. This also is a negative side here, but I'm going to go ahead and solder from this point and this point, which then will go through the rest of the circuitry, the switch, the resistor, the LED, and what have you. And this way it's going to be a real nice clean setup. Not going to have a bunch of wires dangling everywhere or other components you have to remember to bring with you. I did not want to use any external batteries because it's just one more thing you have to think about, and that's something I just want to avoid. So I figured this is going to be a really nice clean setup. Alright, I just finished making the solder connection here on the negative side and the positive side, and then I tied it in here with a zip tie, and I also made my connections here with my disconnect. So that's all ready to go. Okay, so what I'm going to do is now I'm going to insert the this plastic PVC tube inside of here, push it up some, and then now I'm going to take the polar scope itself, I'm going to push it in there, thread it in all the way until it stops, just nice and snug, and that should take care of that part of it. Now make sure that the PVC tube itself is pushed all the way down against the end of the polar scope. So make sure it's not riding up like that, but make sure it's touching the end of the polar scope there. And take a little dab of silicone. Just place a little bit right like that. That should do it. And that will help prevent the tube from sliding around inside the mount. The next step is to take some kind of a small tubing like this, something that the LED will slide into nicely. I want something that doesn't have a lot of slop to it, just fits just about the right size. So you can find something like this. If you have to take a drill and drill it out to make the LED fit just right, do so. You can see how the LED itself will just be right about there. What I did is I took the 3/4 inch PVC tubing, put some sandpaper on there, and to get this contour, because I want this pipe, or this little adapter I have here, I want to fit under like a nice little saddle. So what you do is put some sandpaper around a piece of pipe, take your other piece here, and you want to do is just sand it back and forth, keep sanding it until you get the same contour as your 3/4 inch pipe. So that's how that fits. So what I'll do is that I will glue this on there, epoxy it in place, and the LED will slide right in like so. Okay, attached to that, and then this makes just makes a nice holder for the light itself. Okay, I just finished making the wire harness, my connection, resistor to the LED, back around to the micro switch, and then back to the connector. So this should be a nice clean setup, and going to go ahead and install it into the mount itself. Alright, just finished gluing the adapter to the PVC tubing, and I used a 5-minute epoxy. and that should be good enough. So what I'm going to do now is you'll see is that the LED will slide right into this tube like so. Okay, and just put a little bit of like a silicone or something in there to hold the light in place so it doesn't fall out, and that should do the trick. It's looking good so far. Alright, now I'm going to epoxy the micro switch to the inside of the mount, and I'm going to use a higher grade of epoxy, something that's going to be a lot stronger than the 5-minute. Something that's a slower set will actually be a lot stronger, because you will be putting some force on this to turn the switch on and off. I really don't want the switch just to fall off, so that wouldn't be good. And by the way, this ring here is another upgrade I did to the mount, so I will talk about that in another video. What comes with the Celestron mount is a dust cover that's kind of a press fit, and the dust cover, the first time I took this out, fell off not knowing it, and I stepped on and got buried in the dirt by happening to come across it. So I came up with a better idea where it actually threads on. So I'll talk about that in another video. So anyway, let me go ahead and just get this switch epoxy in place, and we'll go to the next step. Okay, the epoxy had some time to set up, so let's see how this looks. Here's the switch, on and off, looks great. And go ahead and start hooking up the rest of this stuff. Alright, so I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a little bit of this silicone stuff here to the LED. This will dry clear, by the way, so you might want to remember that. Use a clear type of silicone or whatever it is, 5-minute epoxy, but definitely use a silicone in case you ever have to remove this lamp. It won't be so difficult. So I'm just going to slide that right inside there, like so, and see if I can clean this up a bit. Don't want to look too sloppy here. Okay, well, I'll kind of do it for now. That doesn't look too bad, and that should hold it just fine. And I'm almost done with this project. Looks like all I have to do is just put the circuit panel back on, hook up my switches and plugs and all my good stuff here, and it'll be good to go. Okay, before I put the circuit board back in place, I figured I'd give a little demonstration of the light. Just stick your finger inside the hole here and flip the switch, and shazam! Look at that. Real clean, real nice. Looking good, alright. Okay, I want to show you what this looks like with the actual scope on. As you can see a star in the red area, very nice and clear, and you can see all the markings on the actual polar scope very nicely. When you actually look through the scope itself, the center area is not as dark as it looks on this video. It is much better quality in real life than this video. So anyway, don't think that this is what you're going to get. Anyway, this is what it looks like with the light on, and that's what it looks like with the light off. Now, it's very hard to set up your scope at nighttime when you don't have a chance to get there before sundown to do your setup. So now you get there a little late, no big deal. Flip the light on, you can see what you're doing, and everything works out very well. So anyway, hope this works out for anybody who needs a light on their polar scope.